The fourth thing that we can do with wisdom is to seek non-attachment to the world. It's very free to be not attached to the world because there's no obligation. But what is the qualification? Well, to be completely free and become detached from the world, one should take on the responsibility of the world. So it's not easy to be completely free because we live our lives and we depend on so many people. Just a simple breakfast bowl of cereal requires so much support from the world in that simple bowl of cereals. If we want to enjoy that bowl of cereal freely, non-attached, then there needs to be something to substantiate that, and that is responsibility. When we have the responsibility, then we can be non-attached. So when we will fulfill our responsibilities to the greater extent, then we are allowed the state of non-attachment. So until responsibilities are fulfilled, being detached from life will make a person more complacent to the world. If you don't have responsibility and you want to be detached, then you are forcing that severance. You cut off your attachment. And what's going to happen is that you will feel complacent. You stop caring about the world. And you will also lose your sense of loving kindness and sympathy for the world. You could become insensitive to the sufferings of others, to feel alienated. You force yourself to be cut off from the world, and it becomes a superficial indifference, not allowing one to fully experience life. What we learn in Buddhism is to become non-attached. Non-attached does not mean in a negative sense. When we practice Buddhism, we don't become cold-hearted, that we become detached. But detached here is that to detach from the compounded existence, from the three worlds, the world of desire, the world of form, and the world of no form. 三界, 欲界, 色界, and 无色界. Tam giới, dục giới, sắc giới, vô sắc giới. Right, those three worlds. So non-attachment here can sound purely negative, but it is very positive of a mental state. And non-attachment here is not a sort of bloodless lack of interest, but it is very positive in a sense of being selective and being conscious of what one is doing and what is skillful and what is positive. That is one attached to. So what does that mean is that one is able to become non-attached is because one has so-called found something better, right? If you force yourself to become detached, then it creates a lot of pressure. You're being forced to give up something that you like, and therefore it can be painful, and you might not be willing to give it up. But if you can find something else better in its place, then it's very easy to let go. That means you have options. This is why non-attachment is meritorious, because it allows you to let go what is not skillful and to maintain what is skillful and what is positive. A person with non-attachment is serene, confident, and balanced in oneself. There's no need for you to be attached to something that's extra. For example, if you're already full, you have just eaten, there is no need for you to compete with others for food because you are already balanced. But if you have an empty stomach, then it's very easy to be enticed by the great smell of the food. When you are balanced, you are serene, you are calm, you are confident, then that is a state of non-attachment. Does it make sense? One has the confidence and the wider visions to be free from being neurotically involved with things. Neurotic craving is the kind of craving that you're doing something to satisfy that craving and not because you need it. For example, neurotic craving with eating or shopping is like you have tons of clothes at home, but you just feel the need to go out and buy some more. Or you're already full, but you feel the need to eat more chocolate, or you want to satisfy the craving. It becomes neurotic. But there's nothing wrong with buying clothes. There's nothing wrong with eating chocolate. It becomes a problem when you are feeding that craving because of the want and not necessarily the need. So non-attachment here means self-contained, self-aware, and very objective, responsible, and sensitive. Being non-attached doesn't mean you don't care, but there is a sense of responsibility. So these qualities here are developed in conjunction with responsibility and concerns for others. So when we learn Buddhism and we uncover wisdom, we feel happy about our state of being, but it doesn't mean that we don't care. That happiness comes from responsibility, comes from concerns for others. When we want to become detached from the world, we should fulfill our responsibility. That's the qualification for us to feel free from the obligations from the world, is to fulfill our responsibility. Having loving kindness is more valuable than liberation, because loving kindness is the core of Buddhism. Try to achieve liberation. If we don't cultivate loving kindness, then we are missing the point. In the Four Immeasurables, 四有量心, 慈悲喜舍, 德慧喜舍, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And why loving kindness is fundamental. Without loving kindness, these three things will fall apart. Without loving kindness, compassion will turn into contempt. When you help somebody, you look down on them. You think, oh, how pitiful you are. Here, I have some money, take some money. Without loving kindness, compassion will turn into contempt. Without loving kindness, sympathetic joy will turn into vicarious satisfaction, meaning that there's joy in it, but it's not yours. You're borrowing it. Vicarious experience is when you experience something through other people, not yourself. Parents who encourage their children to take up after-school sports, for example, and they feel very joyful in wanting their kids to play sports. They themselves don't play sports, but they force themselves. And even the kids refuse to play sports, they continue to encourage. And that is because maybe they quit sport early in their childhood and they regret and they want to see their kids playing sports. And when they see their kids playing sport, they feel joyful. That is vicarious because that joy comes not from them, but through their children playing sports. When we see somebody giving and we feel joyful and we don't have loving kindness, then we are not experiencing that joy, but we are borrowing the conditions. It may be joyful, but it's not your own. Sooner or later, whatever that you borrow, you will have to return it. We have to practice loving kindness and we should do the giving ourselves. Otherwise, we will live vicariously. We're living that joy, but that joy is not ours. We're living it through somebody else, that vicarious satisfaction. Does it make sense? And then without loving kindness, equanimity turns into heartless indifference. You don't care, you stop caring. Right? So without loving kindness, the peace that you have turns into just uncaring attitude.